This time, I'd like to call to order the Monday, August 18th, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting to order. At 5:30, we had a work session to discuss our solid waste ordinance. And at this time, I'd like to call on, for the invocation and pledge of allegiance, Pastor Ron Lawrence, Charversburg Church of Christ. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, Lord, pray for a blessing on this meeting, and we pray that you be with each and every one of these commissioners and leaders here of the county. We pray that you give them wisdom. We pray that they will seek your wisdom, and that, Lord, they will do all things according to grace and to wisdom, and do what is best for the citizens of this county. And we just pray, Lord, that tonight you will be with everyone who speaks. And Lord, we just pray that all things will be done according to your will. And we just pray, Lord, also for our region as we're about to get rough weather. And we pray for your protection and safety. And we just pray that we will get through that well. And we just pray again, Lord, that you will bless this county, bless everyone who is here and a part of this meeting, and that all things will be done to your glory. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Let's do the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Lawrence. Thank you for coming out tonight. This time, I'm going to ask our attorney to read the Ethics Awareness and Conflicts of Interest Reminder.
Pursuant to GS 153A-44, a commissioner has a duty to vote on matters coming before the board, but may be excused from voting on issues involving the commissioner's own financial interest, official conduct, or on matters on which the commissioner is prohibited from voting under GS 14-234 or 160D-109. In accordance with Chapter 2, Division 3 of the Currituck County Code of Ordinances, it is the duty of every commissioner to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any commissioner have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the Board of Commissioners in this meeting? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict.
Hearing none, we'll move next to the approval of agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Next item is public comment. I have one person signed up for public comment. That is Mr. Todd Mitchell. When you come forward, please give your name and address for the record, sir.
My name's Todd Mitchell. I live at 108 Chapman Lane. Sorry I haven't been here in a while, and please excuse my attire. I have football practice right after this. So let me begin by saying thank you, Commissioner Payment, for asking the question last council meeting. Did our fire chief make any comment on the TRC board? Which, of course, he didn't again. So I'm here tonight. First off, I'm sure everybody's aware this is a one-party state when it comes to recording conversations. So I am here to discuss the VFAB board. This council or commission said the proper route is to go through the VFAB board. So I went and I worked with them and then took a break. I had multiple conversations with commissioners on this board about, hey, I got the votes to get you there. I can get you on there. Hey, give me a couple months to get this straight. Do you know what they're trying to do? Change the VFAB board so only fire chiefs are on that board and only two citizens. That would be the citizens of Corolla and the citizen of Knott's Island, because they pay. Well, their representation is 24-hour paid fire and EMS. That's their representation. That is the fire chief of Currituck County. Okay? I have let this council know prior to calling the state that we were knowingly breaking state law with Currituck Fire and EMS. It has been confirmed. They are in the process of trying to fix it. And I talked to a commissioner who said, Chip needs to go, but we're not going to do it because we can't. It falls on the county manager. So now I'm working on federal law being broken, and that will fall in the county manager's lap. There has to be something done. I have heard there have been some strides with the volunteers, right? I requested information, was denied that information because I was told Currituck County doesn't track it. But every Currituck fire and EMS person that shows up on a volunteer fire call is supposed to put it on their timesheet, and they document it on their timesheet that that's what it is. So how can you not track it if you have to put it on your time card? I don't know. It's just a question that somebody's got to ask. I figured it'd be me. So I tried to go the right route. I took this commission. I put my own blood, sweat, and tears, met with you many times, drove hours to VFAB board meetings, met with the volunteer fire chiefs to try to help out, try to be a citizen that has a little bit of expertise in this field, and try to help out, and every door has been slammed in my face. I take it as offensive that you would tell me to go try to be a member of the VFAB board and then change the VFAB board on me, or in the process of changing it if you haven't. And lastly, I've talked to our senator, and I know I'm out of time. He's aware. I'm waiting to talk to him and let him know some of the things that have transpired, but something's got to be done. Something has to change. Thank you for your time. And again, I'm sorry. I have to go to football practice.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is we have two quasi judicial evidentiary hearings. The first one is PB 25-14, Green Acres Land Development, request to amend a special use permit for extractive industry mining to increase the excavation area on the site from 40% to 50%. The property is approximately 58.39 acres located at 7177 Currituck Highway in Jarvisburg, north of Meadow Lake Circle, tax map 109, parcel 61 and 61A, Poplar Branch Township. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, so anyone that wishes to speak tonight needs to come forward and be sworn in. If you're speaking in favor or in opposition, we're going to have one swearing in for this particular item, so please come forward now. I'm going to ask you to put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Good evening to the board.
Tell everybody who you are,
I'm Jason Littoral, Senior Planner.
because you're kind of new to doing this now.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. So yeah, this is a request for an expansion of the Green Acres mine in Jarvisburg. Here you can see aerial photo from 2024. And it is located entirely in the agricultural zoning district. The Imagine Currituck future land use map shows this in the G1 transect. So the total tract area is 58.81 acres. A little history, in 2002, the original approval was for 28.65 acres of excavation. Then in 2013, there was a special use permit granted for an expansion to up to 30%. Again, in 2020, there was an administrative expansion for a total of 40% excavation area. And now the current request for a total excavation area of 28.54 acres, which is 48.5%. And the maximum for excavation area is 50%, so getting close. The current setback on the northern property line is 50 feet because of a prior approval for maintaining a vegetative buffer along that property line, which allowed the mining activities to go somewhat closer than would be normally allowed. All the other property line setbacks are 100 feet, and there's a 300-foot setback from any residences. They're planning on using the existing 200-foot paved entrance. And the average depth of excavation is 25 feet with a maximum of 30 feet below the natural ground level. Some general conditions that apply to mines. Stored mine materials shall not exceed 25 feet in height. Haul trucks must use tarps to cover the beds. Hours of operation are limited to between sunrise and sunset. No operations on Sundays. No operation on Saturdays from Memorial Day through Labor Day. No bulk waste, hazardous waste, commercial waste, garbage, construction or demolition waste is allowed. And they are required to post no trespassing signs every 250 feet. They will be maintaining 2 monitoring wells, one on the north side here and one on the south side here. And those require periodic reporting. They don't have any plans to continue dewatering operations for excavation purposes. They're using a long arm excavator. They will, however, continue to pump water from the mine into the Meadow Lake subdivision pond in order to maintain the water level there in that pond. And here's the reclamation plan, which requires annual reports to be submitted to the county. The 2040 vision plan has several relative policies, including land use policy 1.3, 1.4, and 2, and 2.3, economic development policy 1, 5, and 5.1, environment policies 1.1, 3.3, and 1.2. 1.2 is a lower Currituck land use policy. Also Jarvisburg sub-area policy 5.1 to protect the rural character and landscape. And a G1 transect low density growth policy 8.2. These are the special use permit review standards, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And the technical review committee did review the application and had the following comments: that the applicant shall complete development strictly in accordance with the plan submitted to and approved by this board, a copy of which is filed in the Planning and Inspections Department. There's a 50-foot wide vegetative buffer that shall be maintained along the south property line from Currituck Highway to Lot 11 in Meadow Lake subdivision. The chapel property shall be screened on the north, west, and south property lines. All dead vegetation located along Currituck Highway shall be replaced with an equivalent plant species. All existing vegetation located along the northern property line, along the Stevens and Landron properties, shall be retained for the setback reduction. The maximum average depth of the excavation area shall be 25 feet. Discharge water samples that test for settable solids, turbidity, and pH shall be collected and tested quarterly. 2 monitoring wells shall be maintained and tested semi-annually for quality and monthly for quantity. The testing report should be submitted to the county within 30 days of the reporting date. And in no case shall the hours of operation be beyond sunrise to sunset. Mining activity shall not occur on Saturdays from Memorial Day through Labor Day or at all on Sundays. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Anyone have any questions?
I do. I don't know if this is more appropriate for the applicant.
Okay.
What determines the average depth? Or should I say, who determines the average depth?
Yeah, that's probably a better question
Okay,
for
all right.
Ken.
Thank you.
Anything
So,
else?
Jason,
Yeah.
okay, they can do up to 50%, and this is 48 point whatever. So this
yeah.
is essentially the end of this mine when this is done.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Okay.
What was the hours of operation on Sunday? They can't do what on Sunday again?
It's sunrise to sunset, and then there's no operations on Sunday.
Sundays at all?
And then Saturdays are limited or off the table between Labor Day and Memorial Day.
And that's everybody?
Yeah,
You mean Memorial Day to Labor Day?
yeah.
Yep, we knew what you meant.
This mining operation has been in operation for about 25 years. Is that right?
2002?
Okay, 23. And no problems? I mean, it's
No,
got
no.
a state permit, they've checked off?
No violations.
Great.
I was on the board the first time it
Oh,
was
my
approved,
golly.
We noticed that.
23 years ago. Wow,
So,
that's a long time. Any other questions?
Nope.
Hearing none, we'll let the applicant come forward
Okay.
and present their case.
No, just if they ask me, if they got any questions, I'll answer. Perfect.
Good evening, board members, Attorney Morgan, Madam Clerk. Good to see you all again. Appreciate you allowing me to be here before you. I'm Johnny Hallow. I'm an attorney with Hornthal, Riley, Ellison, Malin, and Elizabeth City, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant today. I will be doing a very brief examination of two expert witnesses. One is Mr. Ken Elliott, who is standing over here to my right, and I also have Mr. Kim Tate, who is seated on the third row, and we also have Mr. Jeff Newbern, owner of the business seeking the application, and I prefer to start with Mr. Elliott unless there are any objections.
Proceed.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Elliott, could you please state your full name and address for the record?
Kenneth C. Elliott, address is 202 Elliott Road in Idlet, here in Currituck County.
And what is your current occupation and title?
I'm in, yes, more or less a freelance. I work with land developers and mine operators in this area, helping them with their permitting needs. I started that in 2005.
I don't need an exact number, but approximately how many projects involving sand mines or other extraction operations have you worked on in North Carolina?
Between 50 and 60.
And are you familiar with Currituck County's ordinances and the special use permit process, the standards set forth therein?
I am.
And were you retained by the applicant in connection with his request to expand the existing sand mine?
Yes.
What kind of work did you perform for this project, just generally?
I helped with the design beyond the existing permit that was in place when I first started. This mine was first permitted in 2003. I worked with Mr. Newbern on future modifications to expand, and also with periodic monthly and quarterly reporting to the state and to Currituck County.
Excellent. Have you been recognized or accepted as an expert in your field by other boards, commissions, or courts?
Yes.
Excellent. Mr. Chair, at this time, I'd like to tender Mr. Elliott as an expert in site design and environmental compliance for mining extraction operations.
Without objection.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Elliott, could you please tell us a little bit about this project and walk us through the standards for the SUP, starting with the public health and safety? And I will just turn it over to you if you want to roll on through the standards that you prefer to testify about, if that's okay.
Okay, that'll be fine. I've got some other information to present, if that would be all right to give that to you before we get to the standards.
Yes, sir.
All right. Again, I'm Ken Elliott, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Vice Chairman, members of the board. I'm here tonight on behalf of Mr. Jeffrey Newbern. He is the president of Green Acres Land Development Incorporated in Powell's Point, and we are here for an expansion of the mine that has been permitted. The last permit that he got allowed him a 21.6 acre excavation on his property. There are 1.42 acres of wetlands on the properties. 50% is going to jump him up to a little over 28.54 acres, which is what we are asking the board to allow him to go to. This mine is going to be at a 25-foot average depth with a 30-foot maximum. And that is about it on specifications of the mine itself. And in the special use process, a special use permit process, we had a community meeting. This was held in February of 2025. In addition to the face-to-face meeting at the Palace Point Senior Center, we had 2 Zoom community meetings to provide access to details for the mine for people that were not in the area. Those were lightly attended. We had a good number of people at the face-to-face meeting at the Senior Center. We answered questions and gave deep details. One of the things that always comes up with our mines is dewatering. Like he told us, dewatering ceased on this mine for mining purposes in 2020. Mr. Newbern is now performing his excavations with a long reach excavator that doesn't require dewatering to get down to depth. Dewatering, the only dewatering that is going on now is a light amount of water going over to the Middle Lake Pond. This was done at the request of the Meadow Lake members of that community. What the purpose of it was to enhance the level of the Meadow Lake Pond for their scenic and recreational value. Even though we are only doing approximately 12,000 gallons per day of water over there, still we are monitoring the discharge which goes into the pond. We are looking at the pH and the salinity, which is tested on site, and then the total suspended solids, the turbidity, and enterococcus levels are also measured, and that is all tested at the EnviroChem laboratories in Manio, which is a state-certified laboratory. Beyond the dewatering, the standards for mine excavations are pretty much the same across the board for all mines in North Carolina. The state requires a 50-foot wide undisturbed buffer between mining activity and waters of the state or wetlands, and a 25-foot unexcavated buffer between the excavation edges and the undisturbed buffers or permit boundaries. The county, of course, requires their setbacks 100-foot property line and 300-foot residential and commercial building and roads and right-of-ways. The state also requires erosion sediment control. This includes the 200-foot paved entrance to the property, which decreases the amount of sand which goes onto the Currituck Highway. Around the activity area, Mr. Newbern will be placing or constructing a 2-foot tall minimum berm that is foliated. This will prevent any storm water from going off-site except through the mine excavation itself. This will be to guarantee internal drainage. Noise is always a common issue. To judge the noise that would be generated from the dewatering pump at this site, we ran a noise test at a comparison site in Pasquotank County, where we measured the amount of noise coming off of an operating dewatering pump across an open field. We got 47.7 decibels at 520 feet, which is the distance of the closest residence at Green Acres Pond. The Green Acres dewatering pump will be running approximately 12 hours a day, intermittently, according to the needs for water in the Middle Lake Pond. The pump will be located below ground level and behind berms to mitigate noise. And in addition, between the mine activity area and the Middle Lake subdivision, there is a 90-foot wide foliage screen, which also includes an internal 8-foot tall berm. The reason why this was done through a comparison site was because of the ambient noise which is present from Currituck Highway itself. Noise measurements from Currituck Highway are running between 48.8 to 52.2 at the distances that we're looking at from these houses. Screening is in place for this site. We have a good foliage screen along Currituck Highway, the 90-foot screen between Meadow Lake and the activity area. And then on the north side, we have a screen inside the permit area between those properties, the landed property and the other one. Security is in place. We have a locking gate at the entrance road, and there is only one entrance. As far as the UDO standards, this project will not endanger the public health and safety. This mine activity area is 330 feet from Currituck Highway. We have a 90-degree side angle there. We are 360 feet from the closest residence, and there's only one or two of those, and the other ones are a minimum of 400 feet from the activity area. Again, foliage screens around the activity area mitigate noise and act as a visual screen. We've already discussed noise and erosion sediment control. There's no dewatering for mining. The discharge from dewatering is checked monthly, and samples are taken for laboratory analysis quarterly. The two monitoring wells there are checked monthly and have been since 2005. There will be no trespassing signs placed every 250 feet around the active area, and then dust will be controlled by water trucks or water that is placed on there by excavation. The project will not injure the land values of adjoining lands and will be in harmony with the area. Again, screening and foliage screen everything, screen the activity from adjacent properties. We are maintaining the required setbacks that Currituck requires. And I want to say that sand is a commodity that is in short supply for our area. Sand is something that is used for all residential and commercial construction, and this sand will be used for that in Currituck and Dare and northern Currituck County. A portion of this sand will also be used with Mr. Newbern's septic tank construction company. As far as adjacent land values, we have Mr. Kim Tate here with us tonight to give us appraiser testimony. We'll have him up in just a minute. The project will be in conformity with the Imagine Currituck Land Use Plan. And this is an agricultural, the G1 transect classification for agricultural use and low density development. And we meet all that. Sand mining is an authorized activity in agricultural zoned areas with a special use permit. And then the last one being the project will not exceed the county's ability to provide adequate school facilities. There will be no school needs generated by this activity because there will be no residences here. This mine project will have full reclamation at the end. As you said before, this will be the last time that we will be coming forward with a request to modify or add land to this. We are pushing right at 50% of the excavable land at this point. Reclamation will include proper sloping of the sides of the excavation and then installation of ground cover on those slopes, and then all disturbed areas of the permit area will be graded, leveled, and sown with ground cover. All berms and stockpiles will be removed before that. To guarantee that reclamation is done correctly, Mr. Newbern has a bond with the state, a reclamation bond to guarantee that in the amount of $30,800. So in conclusion, all we are asking the board is to allow us to complete this existing project. I know Mr. Newbern will be doing a good job. I wouldn't be working with him if he wasn't. Anyway, that's all I have for now. And we'll be ready to answer some questions, any questions that you have of the public after Mr. Tate's testimony.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Elliott. I'd like to call Mr. Kim Tate up here to the stand. How are you?
I'm good.
Could you please state your full name and address for the record?
Kim Tate, 1093 Water Lily Road, Currituck, North Carolina,
And Mr. Tate, what's your current occupation?
real estate appraiser,
And about how long have you been doing that work?
43 years.
Do you hold any professional licenses?
I do carry a state certified license in North Carolina and Virginia.
Have you taken any kind of educational courses or specialized training in market analysis or property value impacts relating to mining uses? Maybe not specifically, but general courses.
Over the course of my career, yes.
About how many appraisals have you conducted in Currituck County?
Several thousand.
Have you appraised properties near industrial or extraction uses such as sand mines?
I have.
And have you been engaged to provide valuation opinions in quasi-judicial hearings or court proceedings before?
Yes,
And in those proceedings, have you been designated as an expert witness?
I have.
And were you retained in this case by Green Acres Land Development in connection with this request to expand the existing sand mine?
Yes, I have.
And do you have an opinion or a set of relevant market data and comparable sales for properties adjoining or near the mine?
Yes,
And do you have an opinion as to whether the expansion of this sand mine will impact adjoining properties?
I do.
Mr. Chair, based on Mr. Tate's professional licensure, his education and extensive experience in appraising properties in Currituck County, I'd tender him as an expert witness in real estate appraisal and property valuation.
Without objection.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Tate, would you mind walking us through the second standard of the Currituck County SUP ordinance and tell us about whether or not this expansion, in your opinion, will impact adjoining or abutting lands and whether it will be in harmony with the surrounding area?
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you all here and have a discussion about this. I've met with you several times before. I was contacted by Mr. Elliott to take a look at this project to determine if the expansion of this mining project would have any negative impact on adjacent property values. You all have been made familiar of the site and the situs of this property, so I don't need to go back through that. Specifically, I've been asked to provide my professional opinion on whether the increased excavation area of the proposed mining operation will have an impact on the adjoining property values and whether the location and character of use, if developed according to the plan submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it will be located. To form this opinion, we went out and looked at sales and resales of properties that are adjacent to mining operations, just like you would. The match pair sales analysis is a standard in the appraisal industry to figure out if everything is similar, what thing makes a difference. And by doing that, we looked at sales and resales adjacent to mining operations to see if they carried the same rate of appreciation as average properties in the county of Currituck. There was not a whole lot of mining operations adjacent to neighborhoods that had sales and resales in mid to southern Currituck. Once again, we floated back up to Moyock to take a look at the mining operation that's adjacent to Countryside Estates. The Thrasher mine is a large mine that's been in operation for years. That neighborhood was developed at the time frame. The pit was going full blown then, continued to go along. We found sales and resales over the past 6 or 7 years that set a standard for what was going on in there in terms of transfers and appreciation rates. During the same time, we looked at the average sales price of a property in Currituck County overall to see what the year-to-year appreciation rate was for those properties. In all cases, the properties that we examined as sales and resales in Countryside showed that those properties bracketed and supported the same appreciation rate across the board that the average property in Currituck did, and in some instances, they increased more. The reason that neighborhood is so good is because those houses are new enough that you're usually not going into a house that's a few years old, that's been heavily remodeled, or had a garage added, or had a pool added. Anything that had something added that would have impacted that rate of appreciation was thrown out and not considered. We were looking at sales that sold and resold essentially the same house. So I feel like in that neighborhood, there was not a whole lot of change. Bringing it a little closer to home, we went into Meadow Lake, which is a neighborhood just to the south of this, to take a look at it. It's a stable neighborhood, been there for a while, not a large neighborhood. However, it's just to the south of this mining operation, and it's centered around the pond, which Mr. Elliott referenced. They will, continue to put water in to maintain the water levels in that little pond so that these people are still able to enjoy the view of the pond and not have a big mud hole there. There was a land sale that occurred in there, 107 Meadow Lake Circle, sold 1126 of 24 for 87.5 for a vacant lot, a little over half an acre. But when you look at that sale, and then it resold again in, I just lost my train of thought. It resold again in about 4 months for 105, which shows about a 20% appreciation increase in 3 months. Shows about a 60+% increase over a year on a straight line basis, which well exceeds the average land appreciation rate for all of Currituck. That was the only resale. Once again, it was a lot that had not been improved, was not improved upon resale. It was just sold, turned around and resold. Both times they were on the open market. They were both arm's length sales. There was nothing odd about the sales. We reviewed all that. We investigated all that. Based on that resale and the sales information we took a look at up around in Countryside, our feeling is that this property has been a going concern. It's had, to my knowledge, no violations. It's had some input from some of the local residents. They've addressed it. Mining operations, and I'm sure you're very aware, mining operations are highly regulated in the state of North Carolina in terms of adjacent properties, water quality, wells, all of that. So there's not a whole lot of room for anything to go on without it being addressed. Based on the analysis of the market overall, the subject property in particular, and upon review of analysis of competitive areas in Currituck County, with existing properties adjacent to mining operations similar to the subject, it is my opinion that the proposed use of the Green Acres Land Development Mine does not endanger public health or safety, would not negatively impact the marketability of adjoining or abutting properties, and is in harmony with the area in which it is located.
Thank you.
I'll answer any questions.
Is that the end of your presentation?
That's it, Mr. Chair. I do have the applicant himself here with me if there are any questions. I don't have any testimony for him, but I'm sure happy to answer any
I'm
questions the
going
board
to
may have.
open the board up to questions of the applicant, Mr. Elliott, whoever.
I have one question for Mr. Tate.
Okay.
So, Mr. Tate, you mentioned that there had only been one sale, and recently in that neighborhood close to the mining site.
Yeah.
So there's not been a mass exodus, everybody selling their properties in there?
Properties don't turn over there very frequently.
No.
And there was one improved resale we examined, hoping that it would give us some more information. Unfortunately, that one's an older home. It's completely remodeled. The appreciation rate on that sale and resale was off the charts. Once we investigated it, we threw it out because it would have skewed everything. But it's not a large neighborhood. Jeff, you probably have a better idea. There's maybe a dozen houses in there.
Mr. Plater, how many's in there? I would say 10. Dozen, 15.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of houses, and most people that have bought in there have been there for a while.
Man.
And every now and then something comes up, but it's not like there's not anything listed, and usually when something's listed, it moves along pretty quickly.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
I have some questions, but not for Mr. Tate.
Okay. For Mr.
Mr. Newbern would be fine.
Okay. Mr. Newbern?
Mr. Newbern, do you have a timetable estimate for the end of the extraction? I know that application is good for 10 years.
I'm sure it'll end up probably 4 or 5 years, 5, 6 years probably, yeah.
All right, that's the first thing. And I saw at the community meeting there were some concerns about wells. How many wells have you replaced in this area?
I think I replaced about every one in there,
Okay,
yeah, wells and pumps. So,
okay. And there is still available funds if something else went
that-
wrong?
that- nothing but a phone call away, so.
Okay, all right. And then, just out of curiosity, in the narrative, it said that most of the trucks are implied that most of the sand is being used in Lower Currituck. What percentage goes out of the county, do you know?
I don't know, it's probably half and half. I
Okay.
mean, obviously, the beach is booming. I mean, we don't do much in Moyock, we do Lower Currituck,
Okay,
but, we just Outer Banks, Corolla, I mean, yeah.
okay, that's it, that's my questions.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'm going to open the public hearing. I have Patricia Pledger. Ask you to please restate your name and address, and if I said your name wrong, I apologize.
You're fine. You're fine. My name is Patricia Pledger. I live at 128 Meadow Lake Circle in Jarvisburg, North Carolina, adjacent to where the project is going to be.
Okay.
Okay. Please let me first start by saying I apologize. I did not know this was an official meeting. I would have been dressed accordingly. So I do not, this is my first time ever being in this building. I try not to go to any kind of courthouse. So I do apologize for my appearance for that. I am only here not to necessarily go against Jeff for what he is trying to do. He has, as he has admitted, had to replace several wells in the area. However, I am concerned. I worked very, very hard for the property in which I acquired that property in 1996. And one of the things that I loved about the area was the fact that we had the pond. I couldn't afford anything on the beach, so I had to get water as close as I could. But now the water tables, they go up and down constantly. He does try to monitor those things. The only thing I think that I am really asking for is to hold him accountable for what length of time that he is going to make sure that that pond stays full after he finishes digging. Because even after we have meetings and things like that, the pond goes up and down. They say that there is an area of regulation, and they try. I think I'm on his payroll without being paid, because he uses my property, in which I have given him permission to come on anytime he wants to come on, to make sure he can check the water table levels, but they constantly go up and down. And it is hard to please some people at the northern end of the pond versus the southern end of the pond, but there's got to be a happy medium somewhere. Also, my concern is that it is truly messing up, another one of my concerns, excuse me, is that it is messing up the water table levels. He has had to, this would be the third pump that I have had, that I have had in my, being put in my home, one of which, the last one, has just been put in less than 2 months apart. And it's not that the second one went dry, it's the quality of water that was being able to be pumped out of the well. To the fact that the state has sent a letter that my water was undrinkable unless a treatment was put on, which again, Jeff did. So I understand that he tries to, whenever there's an issue of concern that will arise, that he addresses those concerns. But it needs to be something put in place that's not just a Band-Aid. It needs to be fixed so that we're not constantly having these issues. The vegetation around the pond is killing all the trees because the water levels are up and down, up and down. So all of the trees around there, you can see their roots. Half of them are falling over into the lake. I spent over $1,200 last June to have all of the dead trees that had fallen over pulled out of the lake because you just want to keep it, beautified. Also, the fish that are in the lake, I mean, they're just not there anymore because the water tables keep going up and down. So if this, because I'm sure it probably will be, but if it is approved, only thing that we ask is that you all look out for everybody that's in the community and that is in the surrounding areas and hold them accountable to make sure that there's something in the contract in which he has that says that even after he leaves, that we're going to be assured that these water tables are left, and there needs to be some kind of, I don't know, 20 years after the fact, that he's going to assure that the water tables are going to stay there. And when he's doing these things for people, which I have asked several times, I get no paperwork. It's just people come in my yard and do whatever they want to do. And I'm saying, okay, but who am I going to hold accountable? And Jeff has been nice enough to say, well, I will give it to you in writing, Ms. Pledger, that the water treatment system that we put in your house, we're going to make sure that somebody's coming out and refill it. But yet I have no paperwork. And so God bless, and that nothing ever happens to Jeff. But if something happens to him and someone else takes it over, then I'm left with nothing to say that you, because of what you did, that you're going to replace these things or continue to make sure these things run accordingly. So I'm just asking from the accountability part to make sure that whatever is approved, that there is something put in writing that when he's doing these things, that the company is going to be held accountable and to make sure that they stay in order. And as far as the resale of the property that was there and the rate that it was at and not lowering, the values will be lowered if that pond dries up, because that is one of the things that is that attracts people to that area when they're even looking at it. So if the pond goes dry and it turns into a mosquito pit, then the property value is going to be low. So we want to make sure that what we worked hard for as citizens as well, the value maintains as well.
All right, thank you. I am going to ask Mr. Literal and Mr. Elliott to address her concerns as to how the county is going to monitor and how Mr. Newbern is going to respond to those things, because my question is once the mine is done, the water table is going to be what the water table is. It's not going to be less or more. It's whatever the natural water table will be. Is that correct? If y'all could come up to the microphone, please, so everybody can hear.
We used to dewater 25 feet, but now we're dewatering 10 feet, but just to keep Meadow Lakes Pond. So our pond was here, Meadow Lakes was here, so next thing you know, the water just started coming down. So we started rerouting water to Meadow Lakes. Now our water is going up all the time because we're not dewatering, we're just keeping their pond full. But it's a challenge to keep the pump down, this, that, and the other, and off on weekends. But I think we've been fairly good with it, keeping the water level. I mean, sometimes it's high, but there's so many elements. One end is 2 foot of water. The west side is 5 foot of water. So you got some people got their backyards got water in it, and then up on the north, they ain't got no water because the elevations has got a 3 foot different elevation in it. So it's just hard to do that. So but the water table in the ponds coming up, our ponds coming up all the time. All we're doing is trying to maintain their water level. So eventually it's going to equal out.
Okay, and what about our question about when work's being done, getting some kind of documentation to?
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, we can leave the pump in place and keep our pond full until it equals out. Sooner or later, it's going to equal out, unless they have a dry summer after we finish, and then you know what happens then, So
She had a concern about the treatment being done and documentation. If you were to pass, is there anything in place that guarantees the treatment's going to continue on if something, God forbid, happens to you? I mean, is there some document or something in place that?
I'm sure me and Kim can come up with something.
Yeah, I think that's what the concern is. Wanting to make sure if something happened, there's a document saying that this facility or.
I'll get a letter. Okay. I'll get a letter typed up and give it to the property owners.
Okay.
And I think Mr. Literal he may or may not want to add to that as from the county standpoint, how we make sure we stay on top of this.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any involvement from the county's ordinance after the decommissioning and the state permits closed.
But between now and then, we are monitoring everything to make sure it stays within the special use permit.
Yeah, Mr. Elliott's turning in reports, yep.
Yeah, the Meadow Lake Pond level is measured monthly along with the monitoring of that. And those reports have gone into the county for the last number of years.
So as part of, if the board were to approve this extension, you wouldn't have any problem, Mr. Newbern, with making sure that there's documented paperwork
Absolutely.
with all the property owners about replacing their wells and the water system and all that?
Letters anyway, already gave them letters.
No, I don't have a letter. So,
I'll get you a letter.
so everybody don't have a letter.
Yeah, so
Well,
that,
but he's stated it is recorded, so it's.
so you have no problem with documenting letters to the property owners as when we replace a well and water system, and
Absolutely not.
I didn't think so, but I thought I would ask.
I have
All right.
a question. I mean, as far as maybe the attorney question, when the facility eventually closes up, can we force or have something to say, hey, somebody's got to keep the water table a certain height?
No.
I didn't think we could, because then nature's going to take its course after that. Yeah, that's it is what's going to be, right?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't think we had any
Yeah.
legal grounds to.
The water
to
table
ensure.
will go back to what the natural water table is
They
as
shut
soon as
down,
they
it's
shut
just
down.
gonna equalize
Yeah.
out. It is what it is.
And so if the pond goes down, it'll just be because that's the way nature is doing it. It
no
won't be
rain.
anything that's,
Both of them are level. Both of
yeah,
them the
they'll
same
both
way.
be the same height.
Yeah.
When one rises, they both will rise. And when one drops, they both will drop. So I think, does that address your concerns?
Somewhat. I'll just have to be appeased with that.
Well, we'll make sure that he gets you something in writing.
Well, it's not just me. I mean, and you know, it's like a parent-teacher conference at school. If you're, you know, everybody has an issue of concern, but nobody wants to bring their face, you know, in front of it until there's a real problem. And I'm a firm believer. I try to stay proactive. You know, I try to stay ready so I don't have to get ready. And it's just one of those things that, you know, it's going to be what it's going to be. But I just do not want to see, you know, the pond destroyed. The vegetation is already destroyed. If someone would just take a look. I mean, Jeff knows I send him videos all the time, and I have no issue with Jeff, and he knows that. But right is right and wrong is wrong, no matter whose feet you're stepping on. And so, and that's what and I don't want to be, you know, it's like I told him, which one of his people said, you know, she's just going to complain. It's not a complaint. I'm not complaining. I'm showing you issues of concerns that I'm trying to cut off before they ever become a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question about the replacement of the wells. Is that something that the state requires you to do, or is that just something you do?
Something that I felt like I needed to do.
Okay.
The majority of the wells in Meadow Lake were shallow wells,
I see.
18, 20 foot.
Oh, gosh.
When we got hydrations, ditches, we spent tons of money on engineers. But when I'm down 25 to 30 foot dewatering, and they're shallow wells,
Yeah.
so I had to go around, I think 14 so far I put in there, so
I think
wells and pumps.
I think during the original approval that was discussed, and Mr. Newbern said that he would replace the wells as needed when we had the original
Half.
SUP.
Wells, it would have been very, very difficult for them to prove that it was caused by dewatering at this pit. But Mr. Newbern took the high road on this and voluntarily replaced the well of anybody who asked theirs to be replaced, and he replaced them with deeper wells.
All right. Anyone else?
If I may, the ordinance does contain some language regarding performance guarantees for any drinking wells within a certain radius of the mine, so.
Yeah, and we require monitoring wells in between the residents and the mine as well, if I recall.
Correct.
2 of them.
Yeah,
Is that right? 2 monitor wells?
Yeah, there's two currently there.
yeah.
Yep.
But those are for cases of dewatering for mining purposes.
Right.
We are just supplying water, 12,000 gallons a day is it. With a closed system, this is don't have it. This is a 20-some acre existing pond right now. Removal of 12,000 gallons a day is only going to drop that water level down 1/32 of an inch. Whereas it will raise the Meadow Lake pond up a good 1/4 inch per day. So we have way more than, the water loss from the pond coming in just on general rainfall every month.
How long have you stopped, or how long ago was it that you stopped dewatering?
We stopped dewatering in 2020.
20 what?
2020.
2020, okay.
We just want everybody to be good neighbors.
Absolutely, we do too.
All right, anyone else? Next, Melissa, is that Bircher? If you come forward, give your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name's Melissa Bircher, and I own the property at 140 Meadow Lake Circle. I just wanted to talk about the level of the pond also, but there's a more important reason, not for recreational activities, but there's actually a fire hydrant that is used in that pond. And my house burnt down in 2019 because the pond did not have enough water in it. And it was supposedly being monitored back in 2019, but when the fire department got there for a lightning strike, which it would not have been a big loss, there was no water, so they had to call and bring in tanks. And it ended up being a total loss.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But I guess the question for staff, I mean, when that development was done, was that pond a requirement for the fire suppression, or was that, because I know sometimes the fire departments will just have, they'll put in the dry
hydrants.
dry hydrants just as another convenient site, but I didn't know if it was actually a
I
requirement
have
for
no
that
idea.
development at the time or not, do we know? To be maintained.
I don't.
Guess would be for this neighborhood being so old
Okay.
that it wasn't designed as a fire pond. It was kind of the old thinking, there's a pond there, put a standpipe in it. We got a few of those around.
Correct.
Unlike now, the requirement is to provide a pond that's engineered for the 50-year drought and such. So I would say if this neighborhood was before 2000, it's probably in that category of somebody dug a pond and then the fire department asked for a standpipe to be put in it.
It just said
I
they
would,
could use it.
I would probably submit that that pond was dug for dirt for that subdivision is probably why that pond was dirt to fill the lots for the subdivision. And at the time, it was not required for fire, and it's never been required for fire.
But it's designated as a water point.
Yeah, it
But-
is now.
It was then.
It was then?
Not at the time of creation.
No, at
Right.
the time of the fire.
When-
In
when-
Right,
2019.
right.
It was designated then.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
I
know.
mean, the fire departments went around when they were doing fire hydrant testing, they've documented all the hydrants, dry hydrants all through, and they found some new ones, but yeah, it's documented as a hookup point. But I think the question was it a requirement when development was done? I don't think it was from what staff was telling me.
Well, I know an insurance company gives me a discount because there's a fire hydrant in my backyard, but then it was a total loss. So,
Yeah. So, Mr. Newbern, I think you had a,
First I heard about it when she was at the community meeting, and I was devastated when I heard about it. But where that pipe is at the shallow end. They know water. I mean, but I told the fire department and Mr. Little, I'd be more than glad to take that fire hydrant and take it to the other end of the pond so they have plenty of water. And I'd be more than glad to do that ourselves. Well, because where that suction is, it's no water. It's no water at all.
Well, the other thing is the fire trucks carry on them, they carry a screen and a hose, they can throw it in a pond.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to, yeah, so they don't have to have a hydrant.
too low. They couldn't.
Yeah, they're not there. They could have went further down to a deeper part of the wand, and what I'm getting at, to the pond, and threw a hose in and shuttled it closer from a different point in the pond. My point is a fire truck has a strainer and a hose, so if they're near the sound, they can drop it in the sound, they can drop it in different points. They may not have been able to suck it at that particular point, but maybe 50 yards down, or I don't know the exact layout, but they may have been able to find a spot a truck could drop it in.
Unless it was a dry summer.
Well, this is dry summer, yeah, but you don't know. But what's that? Okay, it was dry then, well.
I think the point is that pond, if it had been designed for a fire pond, it would be different than what it is. It wouldn't be 2 foot or 3 foot at one end.
Right.
There's slopes and depths and everything that would require. I think the fire department just went around and said, okay, there is water available in the event of a fire. We can draw from that water source, which they look for water source. But I'm hearing you say that you'd be willing to move it to the other end.
I'd be more than glad to take it, put it to the other end. I mean,
Yeah, it
that's
ain't
where the water's
much,
at.
yeah.
That's where the water's at. I mean,
Yeah.
it's 5 foot of water there, and you got the 2 foot of water where she's at.
And it was dry.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that fire.
I do too.
So maybe we can address that piece of it there, because if it's not a requirement, maybe we can move it to a place that
Yeah.
hopefully sustains water.
All right. And I also don't have the letter about the wells.
He's gonna be writing a lot of letters.
All right, that's it.
All right?
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That is everyone I have signed up for the public hearing. I'm gonna close the public hearing and ask the board if they have any further questions, and if not, to put forward a motion.
Sounds like he goes above and beyond.
Mr. Chairman, I will move to approve PB 2514 Green Acres amended special use permit because the applicant has demonstrated the proposed use meets the review standards of the UDO. I will include the TRC review comments as conditions that are found on page 5 in the agenda packet, and any agreed upon conditions tonight, including in writing some of the promises made by Mr. Newbern. The use will not endanger the public health or safety. The mine has been in operation since 2002 with no violations and good neighbor use of replacing and pumps and wells. They are no longer dewatering for mining purposes, but perform excavation activities with long-reach excavators and loaders. He has no plans to resume dewatering other than putting water in the Meadow Lake subdivision south of the mine. The use will not injure the value of adjoining or abutting lands and will be in harmony with the area in which it's located. There is noise mitigation with berms, mufflers, and screening. The noise is in line with sound of the traffic. Mr. Tate's testimony about the values of properties near mines, and also, let me get that one, the fact that the water will be added approximately 12,000 gallons per day to the Meadow Lake Pond while the operation is there. The use will be in conformity with the land use plan or other officially adopted plans, including Land Use Policy 2.3, Economic Development Policy 5, and Lower Currituck Land Use Plan 1.2. And finally, the use will not exceed the county's ability to provide adequate public facilities. This will have no impact on our public schools.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Next item is PB 25-17 Foster Forbes, request to amend the special use permit for extractive industry mining to increase the excavation area on the site from 19.9 to 42.7%. The property is owned by Foster Allen Forbes, which is approximately 41 acres and is located at 8180 Currituck Highway in Powell's Point across from Pinewood Acre subdivision, tax map 123, parcel 79, Poplar Branch Township. And anyone that wishes to speak on this matter needs to come forward and be sworn, whether in favor of or in opposition. Place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Miss Jenny, are you doing this one?
Sir, thank you.
Jason must have messed up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is another amended special use permit for expanding mining operations where an existing mine is already operating. Here you can see the aerial map. Properties adjacent or right across the street from Pinewood Acres and Foster Forbes Road. It is zoned agriculture, which is the appropriate zoning district for a mine, and mining requires a special use permit in the zoning district. The land use plan classifies it as G1, low density growth transect. Here you can see the mine plan, just recap of the total tract area, which is, it's 41 acres. The ordinance requires that wetlands be removed from that calculation when determining the maximum excavation area of the property. So it's 31.31 acres net, excluding those Army Corps jurisdictional wetlands. The proposed excavation area is 13.38 acres, which represents 42.7% of that net acreage. The initial special use permit was issued in 2021 for 6.23 acres, which was about 20%. Setbacks, the ordinance requires 100-foot property setbacks from all property lines, 300 feet from things like residences and churches, and a 30-foot riparian buffer along wetlands. They will be continuing to use the existing 200-foot paved entrance, and the mine is proposed to have an average depth of 30 feet and a maximum depth of 35 feet below the natural ground level. Some general conditions that apply to mines are that the stored mine materials on site shall not exceed 25 feet in height. Haul trucks must be covered with the tarp. Hours of operation, sunrise to sunset daily. No Sundays, no Saturdays from Memorial Day through Labor Day. No bulk waste, hazardous waste, commercial waste, garbage, constructions, or demolition waste stored on site. No trespassing signs are required around the perimeter at 250 feet spacing. This particular mine does have 4 monitoring wells, and they do monthly reporting of those wells, and quarterly reports are submitted to our department. The well survey that the applicant did resulted in 29 wells being located within 1,500 feet of the radius of the excavation edge. And the applicant will be, there's 2 options in the ordinance. One is hydrogeological reports. The other is monitoring wells and performance guarantees for those in-use wells. So the applicant currently does have a permit and has bonded, I believe, 7 wells, $21,000 so far. We'll have to do a cash bond for the remaining wells that have not been bonded yet. And you can see those wells here in blue. So any property that hits that line will be counted as a well within 1,500 feet of the excavation area. And you can see here to the south and east. And here's the reclamation plan. Again, basically just taking down the berms, reseeding the property, and taking it back to as natural as possible conditions. The applicant does have to provide reclamation reports to the state yearly, just kind of outlining what's happened on the mine for that year and what might happen in the next year.
Hey, Jen, just real quick. Can
Yes.
you go back to the buffer?
Yes.
Is that 15, yeah, either one. Is that 1,500 foot from the property or from a center point or?
It's from the excavation area. The Imagine Currituck 2040 Vision Plan does have some policies that may be related. Policies related to land use, economic development policies. These are all found in your staff report. and Lower Currituck Land Use Policy 1.2 and the G1 Transect Policy 8.2. You know that the applicant needs to provide the information for the board to make findings for these four findings that must be made prior to issuance of the special use permit. And the TRC did review the application, and the application is in compliance with the ordinance. The applicant should complete the development in accordance with the plans that were submitted if they're approved by this board, and in lieu of the hydrogeological reports, the applicant shall provide additional performance guarantee. It has to be a cash deposit in the amount of $3,000 per well within 1,500 feet. And I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have for me at this time.
Anyone have questions for Ms. Turner? Thank you. If the applicant wishes to proceed.
I'm not gonna play attorney, you just go up there, you're the subject matter expert. I'll just be the applicant.
Okay.
Probably better for the board. Go ahead. State your name for the record,
Okay.
right? And tell about your background, sorry.
Okay. I understand he's
Right,
doing a
you are the
dual
ad's high,
role
but I'll take
there.
my lawyer
Yeah,
hat off.
again, Ken Elliott, Elliott Consulting, 202 Elliott Road in Idlet, here in Currituck County. I've been working with mining permit customers since 2005 in this area. I work from Lenore County east to the coast with my mining customers. Tonight we're here working with the Foster Forbes mine in Powell's Point. This mine began in March of 2022, and dewatering started at the mine in April of 2020.
Mr. Elliott, we have to establish you as an expert witness before you can proceed with the application. So actually, you are going to have to play attorney to.
Wear two hats?
Yes, sir.
You've already stated your background, and previously in your testimony, you were determined a subject matter expert based on your background and experience.
Yes.
I would now tender him, based on that prior testimony, as an expert in sand mines in Currituck County and Lower Currituck.
Without objection.
Thank you.
Now you can proceed.
Okay, I apologize for
Is
that.
that satisfactory?
Yes.
Okay.
The Foster Forbes mine permit area is located in the 41-acre Foster Allen Forbes property at 8180 Currituck Highway in Powell's Point. On that property, there are 9.69 acres of delineated wetlands. The current permit that he has through the county and the state allowed for a 6.2 acre excavation. And at a 30-foot average depth and a 35-foot maximum depth. Adjacent to that existing mine is a 120-foot wide Dominion Power transmission line right-of-way, which borders it on the east side of the existing mine. This special use permit modification is to add additional acreage. This would be as a second pond, a western pond of 7.15 acres inside the previously permitted area. There is no permit acreage. There's no new permit acreage requested. Basically, he's going to be working in areas which was previously used for stockpile storage and processing. So we're going to end up with a 13.38 acre total excavation, which is well under the 50% maximum allowed for uplands in Currituck County. Along with the process, we had a community meeting in April of 2025, plus 2 Zoom meetings for people that were not able to attend the first one. The summary from that meeting, and those meetings, was provided in your packet of information. Along with the community meeting, all residents within 1,500 feet of the excavation were provided with a water well survey, a ground water well survey, requesting information on if their residents had an active water well, a ground water well, and to give us some details on that well if they knew. With the information that we got from the surveys which were returned, and also with communication with the Currituck County Water Department, we determined that there were 29 active water wells inside of 1,500 feet radius of the excavation. With the current existing permit, HOM Development has a bond, a performance bond with Currituck County of $21,000 for 7 wells. The 29 wells which would be affected or within the radius would increase the performance bond required by $66,000 up to $87,000. Discharge from the dewatering pump at this mine goes into a half-acre sedimentation pond where it is treated. Any sedimentation which is in the dewatering water is allowed to settle out inside of the sediment pond, and then overflow fresh water comes out of the pond into the Phosphorus Creek, which then flows westward to Albemarle Sound through wetlands and swamp. The discharge water is monitored monthly for pH and salinity on premises, and then for settleable solids, total suspended solids, turbidity, and enterococcus at the EnviroChem laboratories in Manio and Wilmington. In the past 3 years, there have been no violations or anything out of specification on any of the samples that were taken monthly. Normal monitoring is only quarterly according to the state, but the Division of Marine Fisheries requested HOM to do monthly quality sampling. In addition to this sampling, there are 4 perimeter monitor wells along the north, the east, and the south side of the permit area, of the active area. These monitoring wells are sampled or measured monthly. Reports go into the Currituck County Planning Office quarterly. Beyond dewatering, again, we are looking at the same specifications for most mines in Currituck County and the state, with the state 50-foot wide undisturbed buffers and 25-foot unexcavated buffers, and then the county setbacks, 100-foot property line and 300-foot residential commercial buildings, and 300-foot roads and easements. Erosion sediment control measures include the 200-foot paved entrance, construction entrance, which is in place there now, and a minimum 2-foot tall berm around the active area. In addition, HOM Development will be placing a 5-foot tall sand berm across the eastern end of the active area. This will help with screening of the mine operation and noise mitigation, and also to help prevent inadvertent public entrance to the mine. This is a problem with most mines that I deal with, in that 4-wheelers tend to try to come onto the properties outside of business hours for recreation. Noise abatement, we are looking at this comparison mine again in Pasquotank County. We were getting 49.9 decibels at 811 feet. The closest residence to this pump operation, dewatering pump, will be 780 feet. The phosphorus pump dewatering pump will be running basically 24 hours a day at idle speed, but it will be located below ground level inside of the excavation, behind berms. Again, we have the Currituck Highway ambient noise levels of 51.6 to 55.6 at these same distances. Therefore, we project that noise from the dewatering pump will not exceed that of the ambient noise from Currituck Highway. Foliage screening is on all sides of this mine. There is streetscape screening, which was installed along Currituck Highway during the last permit proposal. For security, there is a locking gate, which is locked nightly, and only one entrance to the mine. As far as the UDO standards, the project will not endanger the public health and safety. This mine activity area is located 330 feet from Currituck Highway and has a 90-degree side angle upon exiting. It is 338 feet from the closest residence. There's a 275-foot wide foliage screen on the north side, a 50-foot wide screen on the south side next to open fields, a 250-foot wide screen on the northeast side, and the mine activity area is 1,000 feet from the closest Pinewood Acres subdivision residence. Again, dewatering discharge will be checked on a monthly basis. In addition to the sample which comes from the sedimentation pond, it is the water in Foster Forbes Creek is sampled both upstream and downstream from where this discharged water enters to compare those values. Again, there has not been any instances of any of the analyses as being out of specification, which is regulated by the state. Monitoring wells are checked monthly, and no trespassing signs will be installed every 250 feet, and dust will be addressed as necessary. There is a water truck which stays on the premises at all times. That the project will not injure the land values of adjoining properties and be in harmony with the area. Again, screening and foliage surrounds this activity 275 feet to the north, 200 feet to the northeast, 50-foot wide streetscape installation, 110 feet to the west, and then 50 feet to the south and next to fields. The Foster Forbes mine is following all of the setbacks required by Currituck County. And again, this sand is available for use in Currituck County and in Dare County and in northern Outer Banks. Again, Mr. Kim Tate will give us appraiser testimony in just a minute. That the project will be in conformity with the Imagine Currituck land use plan. We are in the G1 Transit classification intended for agricultural and slow density growth. There are no residential or commercial growth planned here. The surrounding lands will remain agricultural and woodland. And the project will not exceed the county's ability to provide adequate school facilities. No residential development on this property. Full reclamation will be performed when this mine is finished. The current mine completed excavation in approximately 3 years. We're looking at 3 to 5 years finishing this one up, depending on market conditions. Full reclamation includes proper sloping of the excavation slopes, along with installation of ground cover, and then grading and leveling of all disturbed lands inside the permit area. Right now, HON Development has an $18,700 bond in with the state to guarantee reclamation. And so in conclusion, we are asking the Board of Commissioners to allow them to complete this excavation project at the Foster Forbes mine. I'm sure they're going to do a good job. I've seen previous reclamation efforts from them that have been very well done.
Thank you. Next. Yeah, when we got them all up there.
Ms. Morgan, do you want to take, and Mr. Chairman, judicial notice of his expertise as an appraisal for Currituck County land values?
Yes, I think that would be sufficient because he just testified to that.
Without objection.
Good evening. My name is Kim Tate, live at 1093 Water Lily Road. I'm a real estate appraiser, owner of Tate Appraisal and Consultation. I'm not going to go back through all the information you heard earlier concerning my qualifications. If that's okay, I'll get right to the meat of the project in essence of time. I was contacted by Mr. Elliott to take a look at this project. Once again, you've got another sand pit that's an ongoing concern. It's been going on. They're just looking to enlarge their excavation area. We, as with all projects, we go out there and take a look at the property, look around it and see what's going on around it. The best way to measure any impact on properties is looking at resales and sales of properties that are adjacent to similar competitive uses that would have the same impact, to determine if it had a negative impact on resale, which would be reflected in the appreciation rate of value over a period of time. Once again, lower to mid-county Currituck tends to be a more stable area. It's not moving as quickly as Moyock in terms of transactions turning over. Most folks are in mid to southern Currituck are families that have been here for a while, or people that have been here for a while. Most of the neighborhoods to mid to southern Currituck tend to be established, built, and people stay there for the time frame that they're in Currituck County. Therefore, we had to branch out to areas that had transactions of sales and resales of the same house. It hadn't been altered, hadn't been added on to, hadn't been remodeled between transactions. Once again, we looked back up towards Countryside Estates, which is adjacent to the sand pick activity. It's actually behind where Tractor Supply is, adjacent to the sand mine activity behind it. We looked at sales and resales of that over the past 6 to 7 years of this development. That mine was in activity and is continuing activity in terms of mining. We found that those sales and resales bracketed the average appreciation rate and supported the average appreciation rate throughout the county of all properties. So that lent evidence to the fact that there was no diminution in value based on that activity. Once again, bringing it further down to the mid-county to make sure that we were getting a true analysis of it, we looked at a land sale within Meadow Lake, which is adjacent to the Green Acres mine, which we spoke about earlier. That land sale sold and resold and had an appreciation rate that well exceeded the average appreciation rate during the same time frame of the average lot across Currituck County. And when I'm saying the average lot, we threw out really high sales and really low sales. Like, we weren't looking at, $1 million tracts of land that were sold for commercial development, and we weren't looking at lots that were just disposition parcels that their highest and best use was to hold the earth together that nobody could build on. We looked at like 0 to 3 acre sales that were not influenced by sound front, were not influenced by commercial impact or zoning, and we looked at that. But in my opinion, taking a look at that, there's been no evidence proven that a mining operation adjacent to an existing property has had a negative impact on value. Furthermore, this property has been in activity and has not had any violations, or anything that has come up has been addressed. Once again, the mining industry is heavily regulated. They don't give them a whole lot of rope to get loose and do anything. As Mr. Elliott had spoken earlier, There's all kinds of stop checks in there to make sure that people's property is protected, to make sure that wells are maintained, and that people's water quality level is not impacted. Based on the analysis of the overall market, the subject property in particular, and upon review and analysis of competitive areas in Currituck County with existing properties adjacent to mining operations similar to the subject, it is my opinion that the proposed use of the Foster Forge mine does not endanger public health or safety, would not negatively impact the marketability of the adjoining or abutting properties, and is in harmony with the area in which it's located.
Thank you.
Be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, we're going to go to the question round. So Mr. Elliott and Mr. Maloney, if y'all could speak into the microphone. I let y'all get away with it a while ago, not speaking in the microphone, but people can't hear it, the recording if you don't speak, so in the microphone.
Did I do okay? Was I close enough?
You did good.
Okay, great.
You did good. So questions?
I do. Mr. Elliott, this one has a max depth of 35 feet with the average 30. What determines that?
It's basically a decision on the operator. On the previous mine that we worked with a 25-foot average and a 30-foot maximum, that was decided on the first special use permit, and we followed along with that requirement. The state doesn't really have a maximum level, but in our area, I always recommend the operator to keep it below a 40-foot depth, because then we run a risk of running into a saltwater layer. And that is information that the state provided us a number of years ago. So it's a decision on how deep that the operator feels like he can go by whatever means he is going to use, whether it's a long reach excavator or if it's going to be by dewatering, where he can actually get the excavators into the bottom depths of the pit. And so it's just a matter of decision on the operator.
All right. And how many wells have had to be replaced in and around this sand mine operation?
None.
Okay. And then, let me find the other one. And I'll ask the same question thank you, that I asked before. About what percentage goes out of the county of the operation here?
That's a good question. We don't keep any data, but this mine in particular serves northern Outer Banks, Dare County, southern Currituck, because the other mines facilitate mid-Currituck and northern Currituck. So really it's Corolla. We have another operation in Terrell County that serves the Outer Banks, mid-Outer Banks south.
So it's safe to say most of the trucks are taking a right out of the exit?
The majority.
Yes,
Instead of crossing over Currituck Highway? Okay.
That's correct.
All right. And then I have a question for Mr. Tate, but if someone else has one for Mr. Elliott.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant or Mr. Elliott?
Just any violations? 3 years it's been in operation?
No, ma'am.
The report says none.
The county has requested us to add some additional foliage along some areas, but there's been no state violations, and I do get copies of those inspection reports from the state. And when the county has come in, we have been with them, and they have not seen anything that would be out of the way.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Tate?
Pretty thorough.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Tate, so have there been no sales in Pinewood Acres, or as you explained before, were those sales just hard to read? Because I know that's the subdivision right across the street.
We looked all through Pinewood Acres. We looked on Trainer Lane,
Right.
which is just to the north of that. We looked around the circumference of Spot Road, north to south. The issue is that most of those houses tend to be older houses, and in many instances, there's not that many sales in those neighborhoods. Once again, it tends to be held closely, family transactions, but any sales that we found in there, most of them had a lot of alteration and remodeling, which kind of mask or at least would skew any values, and it's hard to make an adjustment unless you're inside that property to know how much to adjust for so that one doesn't just blow through the roof. So we just set that aside because
Thank you.
That just seems best practices.
I appreciate that.
All right, any other questions? All right, at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. However, no one signed up to speak for the public hearing, so I'm going to close the public hearing and ask the board for a motion.
Well, I'll move to approve PB 2517 Foster Forbes amended special use permit because the applicant has demonstrated the proposed use meets the review standards of the UDO. I'll include the TRC review comments provided in the staff report on page 106. And the use will not endanger the public health or safety. They've had no violations since opening. No wells have had to be replaced, and they do monthly sampling. They also maintain adequate sediment and erosion control measures, and they have guaranteed bonds in place to replace any wells or pumps that may go bad. The use will not injure the value of adjoining or abutting lands and will be in harmony with the area in which it's located. Mr. Tate's testimony shows that property values are not negatively impacted by this, and there is screening and berming and pump mufflers to reduce the noise. The use will be in conformity with the land use plan or other officially adopted plans, including Land Use Plan Number 2, Land Use Plan 2.3, Economic Development Policy 5, and Lower Currituck Land Use Plan 1.2. And the use will not exceed the county's ability to provide adequate public school facilities, as there will be no impact on schools.
All right, we have a motion for approval.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next item is new business, board appointments, jury commission, reappoint Liz Hodges for 26-27 biennium.
So moved.
Have a motion for approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is consent agenda.
Motion for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Next item is Commissioner's Report. Mr. McCord,
We'll go with one word. That'll be nothing for the evening.
that's a first.
What?
I'm moving on.
No.
Quick. Mr. Angel,
So just heads up, we did have a good work session. I think the people over in the off-road are, looking for a solution. We did not come to any firm decisions today, but it is still in the works. So that's it for me.
thank you. Ms. Rose?
Well, I attended the first meeting of the North Carolina Coastal Counties Fishery Coalition in Morehead City. There were 15 counties represented, over 100 people in attendance. One more county is set to join us. They just couldn't be at the meeting. We have a mission statement. The North Carolina Coastal Counties Fisheries Coalition supports their state's commercial fishermen and fishing communities in an effort to protect their livelihoods, preserve coastal heritage, and safeguard the economic vitality of our working waterfronts. Together, we work to ensure the continued harvest of high-quality North Carolina seafood, feeding families, strengthening communities, and ensuring North Carolina catch remains a priority for us, the consumers, to enjoy throughout our state and beyond. The group's purpose is not only to protect our fishing communities, but to ensure that we, the consumers, have access to fresh fish, shrimp, crabs, and oysters. The formation of this group is long overdue. For years, commercial fishermen have struggled to keep working with new rules and regulations constantly being implemented by the Marine Fisheries Commission. Lately, the Wildlife Resource Commission has jumped on the bandwagon, along with the General Assembly. So this group was formed to try and really lobby for air fishing. The next meeting of the coalition will be on September 16th at 1 o'clock at the Crystal Coast Civic Center in Morehead City, and then we will meet quarterly. All meetings are open to the public. My job as a member is to bring forth issues affecting our local commercial fishermen so that we may voice these concerns to our elected leaders. Now is the time for Air County to begin meeting with local fishermen, and we've talked about this.
Yes.
I've made a list of all the fishermen I know, so, if we can just set a date, maybe get everybody here, let them share, and then if we want to form an advisory group, we could go from that. Many groups in our area are working to provide for our students as we get ready to begin a new school year, and they are looking for donations. I've been contacted by a few this summer myself asking for contributions. There is a new supply store located at Currituck County Middle School to help our teachers provide supplies for the classroom. Many of you may not know, but teachers often spend hundreds of dollars each year out of their pockets to provide things to help their students. So I'm asking you to help with this store if you can. This year, our teachers are set, and other school employees are set to have an insurance premium increase. And I've not heard of a budget that gives them a pay raise. So that means our teachers will suffer a pay cut when you take away the extra premium. I've had people contact me wanting to know when the ditch work is going to start. They're very happy that we've appropriated funding for that. I'm getting calls on the trash. I'm glad we're working on that as we did this afternoon. And that's about it.
That was a good report. And
thing, Kay,
I want
yes.
to thank you on behalf of the board for representing us in the coastal fishing. Tell me the group's name again.
The Coastal Coalition, the North Carolina Coastal Counties Fisheries Coalition.
Okay.
So I'd really like for us to
Yeah,
try
3
and
times
set
like
something
San
up within a
Francisco,
couple
it's
weeks.
kinda hard.
If it's just the manager and myself or you or all of us, but to invite the commercial fishermen to come and share issues with us.
I believe now they're kind of transitioning out of crabbing and getting ready to go into probably fishing.
Well, actually, there's a quota on flounder, so I don't think any of them will be setting pound nets this year.
Well, then, so any time of the day is good with them. If you and the manager will
Okay.
set a day and a time, then whatever we need to do to invite, we'll do it.
Okay, definitely in the evening because they're hard workers.
Yep. Okay, Mr. Payment,
I have nothing to report this evening.
Ms. Jarvis.
Just quickly, I just want to give a shout out to Jason Weeks and his staff at Parks and Rec. Over the last week and a half, I've visited for various reasons Maple Park. I've been to the senior centers, the gym at Parks and Rec, Sound Park. I visit regularly, and it's just beautiful. And they do great work making this county have safe place and beautiful places to recreate. So I want to say thank you to that group.
Okay, I have a couple of things. First, I want to acknowledge again that Commissioner Etheridge has been absent for the past couple of months, and I have spoken with him and his wife, and they have set a goal, or he has set a goal to be back by October. So he is progressing along, and he needs all your prayers, and he probably would like a phone call or two from people he knows just to keep the spirits up. So he is progressing and hopes to be back hopefully in October. So I did want to share that. The next thing is today I was able to attend a Rotary Club meeting in Elizabeth City, and the Elizabeth City State University aviation program was brought up, and they were talking about moving several of their planes out to Currituck County and how excited they are and what a great partner that Currituck is with them. And they gave a huge shout out to our airport manager and said that he is just a wonderful person to work with, and their whole staff and everyone has been very accommodating and helpful. So I want to give staff their recognition for that. And then lastly, over the span of a last couple meetings or so, I've asked the manager about the MOYOC, the span between 168 and the railroad track overgrown, and I think maybe she has some information she can share tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we have initiated discussions with the railroad.
They have indicated that they can cut down the trees, but they don't have the capacity to remove that debris from the right-of-way or from the easement. So we're going to continue our conversation with them regarding that. We've also requested assistance from the North Carolina Department of Transportation to help us determine where the right-of-way and the easements are for the railroad versus the DOT right-of-way.
And I just will say that in the past, that's never been an issue about removing it. I don't know if DOT did it or the railroad did it, but they can do it.
Yeah. One theory maybe is that a change in ownership has caused this.
And I do believe the railroad is a private entity, and so they're subject to the Unified Development Ordinance, just like any other private entity, and they can be written up if they don't want to remove the debris.
That is another avenue we are considering.
Okay, so, hey, they're no different than anybody else. If we can write somebody for not mowing the grass, we can write them for not taking care of their stuff.
Absolutely.
So I thank you very much, and with that, I'll let you continue your report.
Sure, thank you. Well, I just wanted to provide an update on Hurricane Erin. So we are under a tropical storm watch for the Atlantic coastal waters of Currituck County. That was as of today's 5 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center. Most likely time of arrival of tropical storm force winds is Wednesday evening through early Thursday morning. There is widespread minor to moderate coastal flooding expected by Thursday, with localized major tidal flooding possibly along our coastline on Thursday. There's increased confidence in erosion. We're expecting about 1/2 inch of rain with higher isolated totals, and obviously a high risk of rip currents. So right now our main area of concern is the off-road and access to the off-road. So we'll continue to monitor that, and if we have decisions to make, we'll share those with you tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
County Attorney's report.
No report.
That was an excellent report. I will now entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second.
Third.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, can stay.